Hi, good evening, and welcome to tonight's show. I'm your host, Britton NewOne Carter, and this is On the Line. You can reach us on Facebook on the Line TV show. You can also follow us on Twitter on the Line TV show. And if you want to join in, you could join in at the hashtag Watch On the Line TV show. Tonight we have with us two very special guests. From the boxing world, we have with us both Mr. Adrien Williams and his partner, Mr. Tim Sullivan. I'm so glad to have these two guys with us tonight. This is our fourth installment of On the Line. And I wanted these guys to kind of back clean up because this is promising to be a really great show tonight. Thanks a lot, guys, for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. God bless.
Let's start with Mr. Williams. Affectionately called Drew. So, Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about who you are and where you came from?
Yeah, my name is Drew Williams, as you know, but everybody else doesn't. Came right out of Avondale, so everything started here. You know, for us, is always starting either downtown Avondale. So we moved from downtown to Avondale, ultimately moved to Price Hill, and I went to Western Hills and graduated from Western Hills High School, where I met Tim at Western Hills, and we played football together.
Right.
So we go back a few years.
Right.
Probably a whole person. Yeah. Let me just say we've been out of high school over 30 years. Right. Let me put it like that, well over 30 years. Wow. So yeah, we played ball together, and as you know, I went into the promotion business from there. The nightclub business, and until the boxing arena, and that's where we are now. And I'm just excited about doing boxing and working with the kids and giving back to the kids. Right.
Now just a little bit on what I know about Adrien Williams. You know, your brother is very instrumental in the things that you do. And,
absolutely.
You know, one of the things that I find enjoyable is when you have a partner that's just as close to you as your brother.
Right.
You know, and that's great. You know, for a while there, I thought the three of you were brothers for a while there. I had to check the record.
You know, it feels like we are sometimes.
Right.
But like you said, it's great. It's exciting to be able to work with my brother. You know, my brother, he's been with me the whole time. And you know, my brother, he went through some hard times in his upbringing. You know, in his young adult life, and got in a lot of trouble. But he turned his life around. I was very proud of what he'd done to turn his life around. Right. And from there, I told him to come with me. You know, he come with me. Let's get some money together. Yeah. You know, the right way. Yeah. So I'm proud of him and what he does. And I couldn't do anything. He's my right hand man. My brother's my right hand man as it relates to business. And Tim is right there like a brother to us. Tim is always behind the scenes working these fights and working things. Without somebody like him and Dwight, I couldn't do what I do. Right. So we know about R&R Promotions, but you don't know, in order to put a product out there like we're putting out there, 2 sold out shows over last month. Back in February, we had 2 sold out shows back to back, and one person can't do that. So it's a team, and you know, with working with my brother and working with Tim, who is also my brother from another mother, then you know, we're putting together some good shows.
Right, and Tim, you are his go-to guy. You know, every good guard needs a big power forward down there, you know, or somebody that open the hole up for them so they can run it through. I don't know who was blocking for who, but I know when I see you guys, it's a, you know, your chemistry. You know, you have this yin and yang chemistry, you know, and you two just seem to be able to complement each other so well. Tim, why don't you give the audience and myself a little bit of your background? I know you guys went to Western Hills.
Just like Drew said, I went to Western Hills, graduated in 1980. Me and Drew played ball together, and we were on a great championship team those years as well. And I'll share this part with you, and I always say this to Drew. Now, when we was in school, Drew used to, stay dressed. He was a model then.
Right.
He was a model then. And he always carried this briefcase. I mean, every time you see Drew, he had this briefcase. But what I realized, and that Drew, he was an entrepreneur before I even knew what entrepreneur meant, before it was like the tag word like of today. So he's an entrepreneur. So I used to say, man, and when I left Cincinnati, went to play ball at Indiana State, went to New York City, went to Miami. I was gone from probably 80 to about 2009. Came back, ran into Drew at City Hall, and we developed some things. But I said, Drew, what did you carry in that briefcase? And so he said, man, tell him, what did you carry in that briefcase, Drew?
Wasn't nothing in that briefcase, man. But I thought it looked sharp. You know, I looked studious. You know what I mean?
And I can remember times seeing you with a briefcase, if I remember correctly. But there's certainly something in that briefcase
yes,
now.
definitely.
You said that.
And that's what I shared. I said, man, you know, his dreams were in there. You know, and he brought his dreams to fruition, and so we worked together. And I like what you were saying about, you know, I'm his go-to guy and all that, because I have to remind him sometimes, like, hey man, I'm your go-to guy, you know, and this is my brother. You know, we have differences. You know, behind the scenes we fight a lot, but the bottom line is, you know, we're family, so we can have our differences, and we put on a quality show, man. And so Drew brought me into the game. I really didn't know boxing, you know, I really didn't know boxing, but I tried to learn, and you know, what I do is, you know, I understand, you know, I majored in business and marketing, and I do the public relations and media stuff, and I helped Drew with the run of the show. But he taught me so much, man, you know, about the business and how to grow your business, and he's successful. So I look up to him for that, man, and he's done a great job. And this is our city, Cincinnati. But if you can, they say if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. If you can make it in Cincinnati as a black business owner, you can make it anywhere.
You can make it anywhere. You can make it anywhere. And together, you know, both of you guys have a string of accolades. So many, you know, when I was doing my homework and catching up on you guys' bios, I just had to just push it to the side, you know, because your accolades are like forever. And I can remember earlier on in your career, when you did have Rags, the clothing store. I remember putting something in that briefcase.
I knew what to do with that then.
So the store was a great success. And although I didn't know you at that time, Tim, I certainly know you now. You know, I see you out. And you say behind the scenes, Tim, and let me say this, you know, every day, you know, I watch you. When I see you putting it on the line every day. You know, that's our show's motto, is on the line. And that's why you guys are here, because both of you guys put it on the line each and every day. And I don't think there's a big I or a little you in this relationship, which is what I really admire. You know, I think that's one of the things in this city that we miss, you know, is being able to have that, you know, that complimentary, you know, feel, as opposed to the crabs in the barrel. You know, and you guys as black entrepreneurs, you know, I mean, I got to tell you, you know, personally, I'm really impressed, and I'm really proud to say that I get an opportunity to interact with you guys. You know, you teach me so. I know I'm a couple of years older than you guys, but you know, I get a chance to see what really hard work and dedication does, and how it pays off. And by the way, that was a great last event with the fight. Oh, it was fantastic, and we're going to get to
at Dawn
that.
High School.
Yeah, well, not the one at Don, but the one with Adrien, and we're going to get to that.
That was a great one too.
But I wanted to talk about R&R Promotions. So where did the concept of R&R Promotions come from?
Well, the concept of R&R Promotions becomes very simple for me because it ties all my businesses together. And as we know, if you followed the last fight, then Adrien at the press conference said, oh, you know, we want to put away R&R Promotions. We just want to be AP Promotions. And I said, well, it's easy for you to say, but those things mean a lot to me. I always wear the chain close to my heart. And R&R Promotions represents Rags, which was my clothing store. That's where everything started. And from Rags, we went to the Ritz. So it was from Rags to the Ritz. So there's your R&R. They represent my first businesses. And the reason I was able to go into boxing promotions, because those businesses were able to, you know, accumulate enough money to be able to move into promotions and make something like this start and invest in these young kids that ultimately turned out to be champions.
Right. So how do you see that, Tim? How do you see Oasis playing into this?
Well, again, you know, under Drew's direction, he's probably the biggest promoter, well, I say without a doubt, the biggest promoter in the Midwest. And for me to know him personally and be under him and learn from him, I mean, I think it's a great thing. And to really start, because there's a picture that I found of Adrien and Raushee and Coach Mike when they were little. And then there's a picture of Coach Mike, Adrien, and Raushee as world champions. And Drew's been there all the time. I mean, you know, promoting Adrien, and he shared the story with, you know, how he promoted Adrien from a young age, and they're world champs now. It's not every day that you can walk into a situation like that, you know. So
how old was Adrien when he first started promoting, Tim?
Adrien was what, 8, 9 years old?
He started boxing at about 6. I came in, he was about 14 years old, 14, 15 years old, and I've been there the whole time with he and Raushee and stuff like that. And as you know, just a little backstory, we brought in 2007, Mike felt like, I think Raushee had been an Olympian already, was going back to his second Olympics at that time, and 2008 was coming up. We brought the tournament here, the Olympic trials, so that Adrien could go, because we felt like, hey, we got another potential Olympian. You know, we've sent more Olympians than any other city in the United States as a very small city. So we felt like Adrien was that guy. Unfortunately, he got locked up. The tournament went on.
Right.
Raushee fought in the tournament, moved on, but Adrien got locked up subsequently on a charge. He ended up getting out and he turned pro. Right. So he missed his bid for the Olympics, but went on to turn pro and probably was the best move for him.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, Raushee Warren, a 3-time Olympian, you know, only person in history to ever do that. So.
Right.
Right. Right.
And who was a 2-time world champion, and big shout out to him. We know he just had a tough fight. He lost, but we know that he'll be back. You know, he'll win a title again. He'll be a 3-time world champion, no doubt in our mind.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, our city is, you know, one thing about Cincinnati, Ohio that I'm aware of is that we're a boxing city. You know, as a Charles and so on and so forth, all the way up to AP, you know, and today with Adrien and Raushee. You know, so this is a rich boxing city, and it's even richer in the hearts of guys like yourself that's willing to hang in there with guys and walk with them through the adversities. And while we're on that subject, let's remove the elephant from the room. You know, we were talking earlier before the show started, and we lightly mentioned about the recent situations with Adrien, you know, and so, you know, just, I know we can't go into detail and we're not going to do that, you know, but just briefly some of the stuff that we were talking about, how it's, you know, what we've said here on the line and what I've said is that, you know, oftentimes I think that these situations are blown out of proportion. You know, this guy, you know, he's a boxer. He's not a housewife, but if it was a housewife who had gotten a ticket, would it be such a big deal? Right. That's a concern of mine, and that's why we're here. You know, we want to talk, keep it on the line, and talk about some serious things because this guy is really dedicated towards changing his life. I heard his speech at Don. I saw what he did at Don. You know, and these are the things that I think that the public needs to be aware of. How this guy really digs in and tries to work with the youth, and you can see in his actions how he consistently is trying to pay back and make some amends. You guys want to speak to that?
And I'll just say, Adrien is a work in progress. Right. He has never been without the information because it's no way that I would have any young man around me and not tell him the right things that I would think you need to be doing in order to be successful. Because I saw this for him. When I saw him fight, when I first laid eyes on him, I said, he'll be a world champion one day. And I've been with him ever since. But, you know, and there's a lot of people that thought I was out of my mind. You know what I mean? Some of my friends said, this guy running and jumping all around the club, this guy right here, this guy. If you came and seen him, you would fall in love with him. But we have to keep in mind who he is. I understand who he is. And Adrien is from the hood like we all are. You know what I mean? Has gotten involved with things as he was growing up that he shouldn't. He made mistakes. And he'll continue to make mistakes and he'll continue to grow. But I like to think that he's never been without the information. And I know he hasn't. And I can tell by some of the interviews that he did over this last fight. He was saying, hey, you know, like, my Uncle Drew been there. He been telling me the whole time, you know, but I wasn't ready to listen. You know, so now I think he's ready to listen. He's still not going to be perfect. You know what I mean? He's still going to make mistakes. You know, he's still, you know, a 27-year-old kid that is a 4-time 4-division world champion, is a millionaire, and came directly from the hood. You know what I mean? So there's no roadmap for him for that. So he's figuring out as he goes. So I just ask everybody to, you know, stay patient with him. You know what I mean? And believe in him. He's all we got. You know what I mean? He's not the only fighter, but on the level that he's on right now, he is what we have, just like Aaron was at his time.
Right.
And Aaron was doing some things that we didn't really support, but he always came through for the city when it was his turn.
Right.
And Adrien does that same thing.
does.
So let's continue to support him, pray for him and hope that, he continues to grow and develop, and I'm sure he'll be all right.
And I'm sure he will under both of you guys too.
And then, it's interesting because actually I was called out on a radio program, and it was in jest. I mean, I didn't take it to heart, whatever, but, the host said, well, I blame Tim Sullivan. He's supposed to be looking out for this guy and all that. And I do. I take responsibility for that because like Drew said, and I know Drew, he said, we're not going to let any young person be around us where we can't, as elders, try to give some advice and try to guide.
Right.
So, we do that, and not with just Adrien, but it's any young person that comes through those doors at Oasis Elite Boxing. Any young person we see in the street, we're going to try to guide them because that's our responsibility as elders. So I'm cool with that. So I said, I'm cool with that. Right. But one thing that I do want to say, the particular incident or whatever, is thank God for his covering. That's first of all. The young man is okay.
He's okay.
That's the first thing. Thank God for his covering. And then everything that came behind it, like you said, if it would have been me on the street with a misdemeanor ticket, I failed to make an appearance, no big deal. But this is Adrien Broner, so everything is magnified. Right. And we share with him, and there's been a beautiful interview that Drew did with Showtime. Well, Adrien did it, but Adrien was saying how much he appreciates, the guidance, the talk that Andrew has with him. And that's important, especially for the young man. Like I said, coming from basically, nothing. I mean, nobody comes from nothing, but, coming from, our community, our neighborhoods, and to where he is now, I mean, that's a lot for anybody to handle, especially a young man, 27, 28 years old. I mean, we can't even imagine the life that he's living. That's like if I'm playing ball and I'm at all this crazy money,
That's right.
and I don't know how to, it's a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, and your every step is magnified. But like I said, all we can do is really pray for him and counsel the young man and say, hey, but he's growing. His maturation process has been amazing. Last couple of interviews that he did was amazing. I mean, I think people are getting behind him. But it's so easy. We do it every day. I'm 55 and I still make mistakes, you know. But the key is we have to learn from our mistakes.
Learn from it. You grow from it. And on that note, let me say I met Adrien, what was it, 2012 when we were filming down at Media Bridges. We had an interview at that time. Right. And you're right. You fall right in love with him. Such a delightful young man. Great young man. And you said something, Drew, about him not being perfect. Well, let me say this, and let me look into this camera when I say this, is that he doesn't have to be perfect. We just need to love him perfectly. Okay? Amen. He's one of our own. Let's love him perfectly. Right. Let's give this young man a break. Let's help him along the way. So, Tim, let me come back to you. I want to talk about some of the, we had conversation earlier, some of it with a little political tone. Where are you at there? I know that you have some sort of political background.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Let me sit up for this because, like I said, when I left Cincinnati and came back, Cincinnati was the last place I ever wanted to be. I mean, when I left in 1980, I came back 2009. In those years, I came back maybe twice. I didn't do Cincinnati when I was in high school. It was during the time of busing. We probably had 5% blacks in the school. We went through the whole thing where sit-ins, they didn't want blacks, the racism, the prejudice. And we had it better because we were athletes. And, it's a difference when you're an athlete versus a regular student. So the racism, we didn't get picked on as much. But I felt Cincinnati was so racist and suppressive and just conservative. When I left, I had no interest in coming back, but as I lived my life and went through things, I had prayed for some changes. And I believe in my higher power, and I know that when I ask for prayer, when I give prayer and ask for changes, he gives me what I need. So I had asked for some things in my life, and he brought me back here to Cincinnati, the last place I wanted to be. But it was my biggest understanding of my purpose. I knew why I was supposed to be here, like what I'm doing now, giving back and helping the young people and trying to bring people together, our resources, Drew always says my word to edify.
Right.
So it's about the edification of my people. Right. And I know that's what I'm supposed to do. And he placed me at the feet of so many great people, like Drew and his entrepreneurship, his businesses, my pastor, Bishop Hilton, and the judges, and yourself. There's like nobody that I say sometimes, there's like nobody that I don't know in this city, especially when it's amongst our own people, African Americans, that can make a difference that I haven't been blessed to know to work with and do things for. So I take that to heart. And that brought me back to Cincinnati doing my works. And I just incorporate all of that into, my professional business, working with Drew, these young people, and I know it's a purpose for me being here. And so I've grown, I still have issues with Cincinnati. I have issues with our politics and all
Don't
that.
we all?
So to bring me back to the original question is, what I'm doing politically right now. When I came back, I sat down with Drew, we discussed some things, and we actually, around his kitchen table, we came up with Swag the Vote, Stand with the African American Greater Good. Now that's an initiative to engage the young people in the political process. We educate them to the issues, the candidates, so they can make an informed decision at the ballot box according to their agenda. Because right now in this country, legislation is what it's all about.
Right.
So, if they really want their voices heard, they got to engage that process. And so we covered social issues as well. We did the Trayvon Martin, we had Trayvon Martin Forum, we had the John Crawford, we had Michael Brown. So we cover all those issues, and it's really a way to engage the people. And then we incorporated, of course, our anti-violence youth programs into the boxing. This is a way where we get the young people to see and come and listen, and then we like to, as a token of our appreciation for the engagement, we always give out tickets,
Right.
And so that's how it came about. Politically, what I want to do as a candidate, and I'll say it on camera, I'm not looking to get elected. Like I said, I am registered. I'm not taking any donations. I'm not doing any campaigning. I'm not doing any of that stuff. But I want to be at these forum tables. So when my fellow candidate or people that are running for office, I can hold them accountable right there. It's called an accountability bid. So if I hear something from the 52 communities, our communities, and that comes up as a question, somebody says something at this forum, they go to the next one, they say something different, or they're not important. I don't want to be in the audience and say, hey, wait a minute. I could be sitting right next to you and say, hey, wait a minute, that's not what you said. So it's a way to keep them on task and on point. And again, I'm not looking to, I haven't even gotten my signatures. So I want that publicly known, but I want to be at that table. And the only thing not having my signatures will do is stop me from actually being on the ballot, because I don't want to take votes away from anybody. But I want to hold them accountable just like we hold those that are sitting now accountable. Because legislation and our issues, our systemic issues to be addressed, right now there's no other way.
Right. And that's great. And what's your views on the current climate, Andrew, when we talk about this gun violence? And I know that you guys are really doing some great and phenomenal things with kids. What is it that you think that needs to be done from a collective standpoint to protect our neighborhoods a little bit more?
Well, I think it's a combination of many things, but I think the answers lie within us. And Tim and I have come together, and we start trying to piece this thing together. And how do we curb it? Where does it start? How does it finish? Those kind of conversations. After having those conversations, then we understand that, and we try to connect the dots along with what we're doing with the Stop the Violence campaign, punching for peace, put down the guns, pick up the gloves. And we said, how can we take it a step further? Well, I think we know and understand what's missing in the community, and we start with prosperity. If there's no jobs, if there's a stranglehold, there's no jobs and there's no resources in the community, then you're going to find people doing things that they shouldn't be doing to try and take care of their families. And guess what? It's hard for me to tell you not to do what's necessary to take care of your family. Right. I don't want you out here, shooting and doing drugs and stuff like that. But unfortunately, these are the things that some of our young people are left with. And until there's some jobs and some opportunities out here, this thing it was set up to be this way. We've got to understand it was set up for us to fail, to bring guns in our community, which we don't do, kill each other, and keep them all locked up. Don't let them make babies and recreate. Let's make them extinct. That's what's out there for us. You understand what I'm saying? So once we understand that, then we understand what's necessary. And I think it's necessary for us to police our own communities.
Exactly.
That happened, as you know, over at Adrien's fight.
Beautiful.
Community police effort was happening that people didn't know. There weren't any major incidents at Adrien's fight, but it was because we came all together and said, hey, what can happen? Well, let us police our own communities.
And I got to thank you for allowing me to be a part of that event and a part of that effort. I've learned so much as a result of that. And I know that once we unify, we can do a lot of good in our community. You know,
Absolutely.
so we need our men to come out and to help support these brothers.
Yes.
You know, we're just about running out of time, but on a footnote here, I just want to say you guys are doing remarkable work.
Thank you.
Remarkable. Punching for peace. I mean, you're bringing boxing back to the Queen City. You're bringing boxing back to the city in a big way.
Right.
And I love to see you guys continue on doing these things. I know that there's so much more that we probably could have touched on. One of the things, and real quick, that I do want to ask you guys, how can a youth get involved in boxing with you guys? How can they get in touch with you, get involved with?
They can get in touch with us through Facebook. Tim and I are both on Facebook. We are at 608 East Macmillan, Dawn High School. We invite all kids from the community to come in. We don't charge them anything to come in, to train. Our ultimate goal is to send them to tournaments so that they can become Olympians and they can better their lives like Adrien and Raushee did. So there's no charge for that for us. And again, big shout out to Dawn High School as well. That opened their doors to us, gave us their whole third floor and said, come in. Ken Anderson, who used to be with Radio 1, was one of the catalysts that got us the space. And, you know, we came in, developed it, and they've been there with us the whole way. And, you know, big shout out to Davenport, who's the superintendent and principal over there.
Great
Good
guy. Great guy.
Good guy.
Tim, stay out there on the front line, man.
Amen.
You know,
Amen.
we need, and I'm gonna tag him now, the watchdog. We need a watchdog in our government here. So, you know, I look forward to seeing you on the front line and doing what you do, brother.
And I know you run out of time, but let me say this, that we're starting a summer series. Every month we do an amateur boxing event, and Drew can touch on that a little bit more as far as what we got coming up over the summer.
Okay.
Right. And we're going to be down there, right on the banks, right between both stadiums, right there where the Blue Bridge is. We kick off there. We go from there over to Eden Park. We come back to Washington Park. We go back BFR down on the banks.
Right.
With the boxing event, and then we end at Fountain Square. So we
Hey.
call it Punching for Peace in the Parks.
Punching for Peace in the Parks. Follow my guys. Stay with them. Nahamani. We get ready to close this thing out. So you can contact us on Facebook at On The Line TV. You can also contact us by Twitter on The Line TV show. And if you want to comment during the show, we more than appreciate it. So you can reach us at #watch On The Line TV show. This has been your host, Britton NewOne Carter, and I've been with my guys.
That's right.
And that's a wrap for tonight. We holler. Peace.
Congratulations. Great work. Great work.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm glad you said that, man, because this man